Hello guys, welcome back to VP Reaction. I'm Peter.
I'm Vicky.
Welcome to today's episode.
Yes.
It's another time we're going to react to a movie or a documentary.
It's not a movie.
I think it's a documentary.
Yes, it's a documentary.
It's a documentary. So welcome here. This one was brought to us by Dan. So first, thank you Dan for making this happen and thank you for sponsoring this. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Okay.
The title for today's documentary is the 60-year-old lie behind JK's death. Jeff Kennedy's death.
Jeff Kennedy. Okay. Yeah.
Jeff Kennedy's, huh? Yeah, death. I think so.
I think Jeff Kennedy was the president of America, in the year 1960s.
60s. Yeah.
63 or 60. I don't know.
63. But Dan told us that basically at this time, or those who were there in the 60s, they experienced a lot of things that happened. Musically, they had a lot of great music that was produced that you guys listen in the 60s era. But politically and then the environment was not that much cool because there was a Vietnam War.
Yeah, at the time there was so many things happening randomly. Vietnam War.
And also leaders were assassinated.
Yes, at the time those leaders who maybe were kind of fighting for the people at the time, like Malcolm X, all those activists that were fighting for the people. I think
Martin Luther,
and also he mentioned something to do with
the
JFK's brother. Was also assassinated at the time. Like he was helping to fight the end of Vietnam War or something. So also JFK was assassinated. I think
the president.
Yes, the
president. think that one is the one who was the first one in 60s.
He was assassinated, I think, in the 22nd November of
60s. But 60s. Let me try to arrange. Maybe who came first? Was it?
Maybe let me just check it out because he just gave us some good list of it.
Yeah.
It will be so great if we check it out.
Yeah.
So I think he mentioned that President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in November 22nd, 1963. As I had said,
65, Malcolm X.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then on the Senator Robert Kennedy, that's JFK's brother, ran for president in 68. So after 5 years later, the brother ran for president in 68, campaigning to end the Vietnam War. But was he also assassinated?
I think so, yes, he was. Because he mentioned that all these leaders were assassinated
in the 60s. And then the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, who was assassinated in 1968.
So
that's so sad.
Like all leaders who were trying to fight, maybe the rights of the people, trying to fight over something that is happening, were assassinated at the time. So we're going to look what made or what triggered the president to get the President George F. Kennedy to be assassinated.
So we are going to see this 60s era.
Yeah,
together with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So subscribe, stay tuned, and in case of anything, maybe you can correct us. In case of any information, you can also share what do you think in the comments. We will appreciate. So let's go. So
are you ready? Let's go.
On a clear, crisp, and colorful winter's day in Dallas, Texas, one man is about to make a fateful decision that will change the world forever. It is the 22nd of November, 1963, 12:30 p.m.
Okay.
John F. Kennedy and his wife Jackie are traveling down Main Street in an open-top motorcade, surrounded by dedicated supporters. The car turns onto Daly Plaza and heads past the Texas School Book Depository. Within a matter of seconds, gunshots fill the air. President Kennedy and Texas Governor John Connally were hit. Seconds later, a third shot was fired, killing Kennedy.
So they just ambushed them when they were in the presidential motorcade, like going to in Texas. So that person was really timing it, because
Yeah, was
like
it
a
a
whole
sniper
motorcade.
somewhere or in the crowd?
I think a sniper, because he was showing like buildings. Maybe it came from maybe one of the buildings or something. For you to aim directly to the target, you must have some good calculations.
By the way.
Instantly.
You, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear
I, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear
that you will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of your ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
So this is the swearing in of him.
The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
John Fitzgerald Kennedy became the President of the United States of America on the 20th of January, 1961.
So 61, then being assassinated in 63. So he just like ruled for 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
After winning the 1960s election against his Republican rival, Richard Nixon.
And I can assure all of you here who have reposed this confidence in me that I will be worthy of your trust. We will carry the fight to the people in the fall, and we shall win.
I want to say that one of the great features of America is that we have political contests, that they are very hard fought, as this one is hard fought, and once the decision is made, we unite behind the man who is elected.
Kennedy had always wanted a career in politics, thanks to his father, who he deemed as his role model growing up. Joseph Kennedy, John's father, was a crucial politician during the Second World War, as he held the role of ambassador to England from 1938 to 1940.
I'm looking forward with great anticipation to my duties here and to renewing.
So the father was a governor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he inspired him and supported him to become the person who he was.
Oh, wow.
Acquaintanceship with many old friends.
Joseph, during this time, helped England justify their declaration of war against Adolf Hitler's Nazi Germany. John also attended these crucial speeches. After serving as a naval commander in World War II, John had become a decorated war hero. On top of that, he had also become an award-winning journalist and author. But after his involvement in England during the outbreak of war in 1939, it was clear to see that John's future was going to be within political office.
On January 23, 1953, along with other new arrivals to the Senate, John F. Kennedy was sworn in by Vice President Alben Barkley.
Harry Truman once said there are 14 or 15 million Americans who have the resources to have representatives in Washington to protect their interests. And that the interests of the great mass of the other people, 150 or 60 million, is the responsibility of the President of the United States, and I propose to fulfill it.
President Kennedy was unlike any other president America had seen before. His charisma and charm, on and off camera.
But the way Dan mentioned that, like he was like the president whom many people really loved him. They loved his work and all that. Like they were really proud of what he was doing.
Okay.
As well as on stage, was clear to see by audiences everywhere.
I am proud of a program and of a country that has helped to arm and feed and clothe millions of people who live on the front lines of freedom. I am especially proud that this country has put forward for the 60s a vast cooperative effort to achieve economic growth and social progress throughout the Americas, the Alliance for Progress.
His speeches were truly monumental and still hold up as iconic today.
Ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man.
Kennedy's political style and demeanor developed into an iconic image during one of the most tense periods of the Cold War. His outspoken love for the West and the freedom of his country became an ongoing theme everywhere he went.
As a nation, we have little capacity for deception. We can convince friend and foe alike that we are in earnest about the defense of freedom only if we are in earnest. And I can assure the world that we are.
But Kennedy was also looking to push America into a new technological age. It was this focus that became his all-time passion. During a speech at the Rice Stadium in Houston, Texas in 1962, Kennedy inspired a sea of dedicated fans. His speech was regarding America's future in the space race, which had been ongoing since 1957, and helped boost support for their goal of being the first country in the world to reach the impossible and land the first man on the moon.
So the first man on the moon landed on his eras on the like his
on
time.
the 60s, yeah.
In the 60s.
Early 60s.
On his reign is the time that America sent the first astronauts in.
Like, and it was the first man like all over the world or something.
Oh, okay. But that story also has a debate.
We meet in an hour of change and challenge, in a decade of hope and fear, in an age of both knowledge and ignorance. The greater our knowledge increases, the greater our ignorance unfolds. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too. Many years ago, the great British explorer George Mallory, who was to die on Mount Everest, was asked why did he want to climb it. He said, because it is there. Well, space is there, and we're going to climb it. And the moon and the planets are there, and new hopes for knowledge and peace are there. And therefore, as we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked. Thank you.
Thanks to Kennedy's passion and determination for this project, it helped inspire people all over America and the Western world to get behind NASA and become the first country to step foot on the moon.
Yes, the first country.
Without this inspiring speech,
So this was like his project. He was really pushing to become like the first country. Oh,
that's really amazing.
And just I would like to pose a question. Like, are you like in any way or in any at any point of life, will you like maybe to travel to the moon or like out of the earth, like to go to those maybe the moon or other planets?
Yeah, with the assurance that I'll come back. I'd like to go there.
For me, I think it's not on my wish because like there's always this say that there is no force of gravity in other planets, so you can just go and you go and go and
you float.
Yeah.
some would say that the moon landing that took place finally in 1969 would not have happened.
Oh, the moon landing took place in 1969.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was not on his reign.
Oh, so it was in the, but actually
they say our narrator is saying that they were really
he was pushing, but he didn't achieve.
Yeah, here it is.
It's one small step for man, one Diane Lee for mankind.
Trouble did hit Kennedy throughout his short years in power, however. Tension between America and the Soviet Union was at its all-time high during the early 1960s, especially with Nikita Khrushchev in power. During a Vienna summit in 1961, Kennedy found himself face-to-face with Khrushchev, trying to mend relations and find a solution.
So Khrushchev was the time for the Soviet Union. I think the Soviet Union included Russia and those countries. So before Putin, we had Soviet. Soviet. So he had differences with the current Russia.
Solution to ending the Cold War. This summit was a failure for both the Soviet Union and America. Frustrated by the summit, Kennedy left feeling like he'd not been taken seriously by the Soviet Union, his opinion only enhanced by Khrushchev's comments regarding Kennedy, stating that he was weak and inexperienced. Furious at these comments, Kennedy attacked the communist way of life back in America and stated that he would do anything to see freedom prevail.
My friends, I close on a note of hope. We are not lulled by the momentary calm of the sea or the somewhat clearer skies above. We know the turbulence that lies below and the storms that are beyond the horizon this year. But now the winds of change appear to be blowing more strongly than ever in the world of communism, as well as our own. For 175 years, we have sailed with those winds at our back and with the tides of human freedom in our favor. We steer our ship with hope, as Thomas Jefferson said, leaving fear astern. Today, we still welcome those winds of change, and we have every reason to believe that our tide is running strong. With thanks to Almighty God for seeing us through a perilous passage, we ask His help anew in guiding the good ship Union.
Threatened by Kennedy's comments, Khrushchev started preparing for a nuclear war, sending in Soviet troops to East Berlin. Kennedy followed in suit and deployed troops and military officials to West Berlin.
So it was just that comment that made them to start the war.
Yeah, and was Germany in Soviet Union?
I don't.
Yeah, I think so, because there was that Soviet Union and the other one. Yeah.
While this was happening, citizens of East Berlin were leaving for the West in droves. Khrushchev needed to take action fast, and as a result, went on to build the infamous Berlin Wall, separating the communist world from the capitalist world.
So they had,
but his focus on communism didn't stop there, and he wasn't going to let it get to him as a leader. His focus turned back to the East, but this time to South Vietnam, where USSR-endorsed nationalist forces were beginning to look threatening to the French colony and South Vietnam government.
You will recall that in my recent address...
Soviet Union, I think now I'm getting. Soviet Union, they got their own group of maybe Germany, but the SSR was now Russia, the USSR.
Oh.
That was the country before Russia. Yeah.
It's not like a group of countries.
You know, the Soviet
just
Union.
Like a country.
Soviet Union was now the combination of the USSR, that's Russia at that time, Germany, I think Japan. Germany wrote like those other countries. You see, is a union, is a group, but
because I'm hearing like them mentioning something like Berlin.
Berlin, that's
in,
I think
Soviet Union. Soviet Union.
Yeah, I think it was combining the USSR.
Because the wall they are building, it's in Berlin. I don't know to separate Berlin and what.
Okay.
The United Nations General Assembly, I expressed concern of this government over the situation in Southeast Asia, particularly on the attacks on the people of South Vietnam.
With this situation in mind, I've asked General Taylor, with the wholehearted endorsement of Secretary McNamara and General Lemonster, to go to Saigon this week to discuss with the President and American officials on the spot ways in which we can perhaps better assist the government of Vietnam in meeting this threat to its independence. General Taylor will be accompanied by a small staff from the various departments of government which are concerned.
Kennedy went on to send 500 Special Forces troops to Vietnam, along with military advisors, and by 1962, 11,000 military officials were on the shores of Vietnam to help settle the tension. Throughout his presidency, Kennedy continued to battle against Khrushchev, encouraging citizens all over the world to defect to the West. Thanks to his youth and his charisma, Kennedy became renowned for looking calm in front of danger. It seemed to look like nothing could get past him, even if it looked like everything was crumbling around him.
Before that, I've found the clarification. I think the structure of USSR, it wasn't just one country, the USSR. It was a union of 15 republics.
Yeah, that's where I was. I think it has like, it's a collection of different countries.
So it's Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Belarus, and others. But for the Soviet Union, it was a massive country and a superpower, existed from 1992 to 1991.
So I think they mentioned French colonies. I think it was like a collection, like it was before the division of something to different countries.
Yeah, you know what I said earlier, I just confused myself, so I had to confirm. First time I said that Soviet Union was Russia, I was right. So first time Soviet, because they say the Soviet Union capital city was in Moscow, and Moscow is found in Russia. This is Russia. So Soviet Union was Russia, and then the USSR.
What about Berlin?
Berlin, it's in Germany. I think Germany was included in the USSR. USSR. Let's see if Germany was there. USSR. No, Germany was not there.
Yeah, because there was that the wall they were building in Berlin.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, like maybe it was included in the other one.
Okay. But I think it's not in the communism. But I think Berlin is in Germany. You guys tell us more about that. But we have concluded that Soviet Union was the current Russia, and then USSR is now the combination.
But you guys can clarify because I'm just out on this. I really have no clue.
But
on different countries.
So if you hear about Soviets, that's not the current Russia.
Okay.
And then the USSR is now the union of the combination of Russia, Ukraine, and other countries.
Because of this cool demeanor, Kennedy was frequently praised for being the face of freedom and being a true leader for the citizens of America in what could have been one of the most terrifying periods in American history. But in reality, the threat of communism was terrifying Kennedy. Jackie Kennedy, during this period, said that John could not sleep at all, as the constant threat of communism and its involvement in world politics kept him up at night.
What's communism?
I think those threats he was getting from the because already the fight is on. It's like they are preparing something like the fight. So I think it's maybe the threats or something.
Let's see first. Communism is a political or economical system where everything important is owned by the community or state. The government control most resources and business. Okay, that's communism. Everything is shared and controlled for everyone by the government. There is communism versus capitalism. Oh, wow.
Filling him with dread. June 26, 1963, Berlin, just under 4 months before his assassination. President Kennedy, in an act to solidify the West's faith and fight against communism, takes to the stage again.
So
in front of over 120,000 citizens of West Berlin, Kennedy went on to give one of the most famous speeches in the whole of the Cold War, and it's argued to be the most anti-communist speeches in the history of world politics. This speech displayed America's solidarity to West Germany and gave the free world a big boost of morale.
Freedom has many difficulties, and democracy is not perfect. But we have never had to put a wall up to keep our people in, to prevent them from leaving us. There are some who say that communism is the wave of the future. Let them come to Berlin. And there are even a few who say that it's true that communism is an evil system, but it permits us to make economic progress. Lass sie nach Berlin kommen. Let them come to Berlin.
So why is he talking like let them come to Berlin? So is he in charge of Berlin, or Berlin is like was part of America?
You know, I'm really getting
I think it's
more
like that now.
Berlin was part of America.
Was part of America because it's like let them come to Berlin and he's in charge of like America.
Okay. Because I'm trying to know Berlin. I know Berlin is in Germany. Okay, in the 40s, in World War II, Germany was divided into zones. In World War II, Germany was divided into zones, controlled by different countries.
Yes.
The capital, Berlin, was also split into two. East Berlin, controlled by Soviet Union, and West Berlin, controlled by UK,
controlled by United States, UK, and France. Yeah. Berlin Wall, there is that Berlin Wall to stop people from escaping. So it was like just East and West.
Yeah.
So West is controlled by another union.
Yeah, Soviet Union is controlling the East.
Yes,
and the West is controlled by three states.
Yes, States and UK and France.
Okay, so communism, government control job. In communism side in the East, where Soviet was controlling, government was control jobs, housing and business. Basic needs were provided. But limited freedom, speech, okay, so the communism world, you are being provided for.
Oh, you're catered for everything.
For everything.
Then you have no right to
but you have limited freedom, speech, travel, fewer goods, slower economy. West side capitalist.
It's like they're just taking control over you. So he was fighting over
business. That. Yeah, and that's where people, because of the capitalist, they say that people could control their own business, freedom of speech.
And now I understand why he was anti-communism. He was fighting against because like the government is controlling their people. Like you can't have freedom to do this and this and this. That's why he was kind of fighting it.
And he had to build a wall to control people from moving.
Yeah, that's the wall I was talking about, the Berlin Wall. It was now built maybe to separate people from moving from west to east and east to west.
And it's still there to date.
I think so, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
2,000 years ago, the proudest boast was Civis Romanus Sum. Today, in the world of freedom, the proudest boast is Ich bin ein Berliner.
By the end of 1963, President Kennedy was the most idolized figure in America and the rest of the Western world. He had won the war of words against the Soviet Union's leader, Nikita Khrushchev, and was looking to push America into a more peaceful stage of the Cold War, all thanks to his incredible stage presence and charisma.
I want to express my thanks to you for this award. Politics is a astonishing profession permitted me to go from being an obscure lieutenant serving under General MacArthur to commander-in-chief in 14 years without any technical competence whatsoever. And it's also enabled me to go from being an obscure member of the junior varsity at Harvard to being an honorary member of the Football Hall of Fame. I urge the nation's community recreation centers to provide more opportunity for those who are no longer attending school. And finally, I urge organizations such as this, with all of the prestige and influence which you bring to American life, to help establish more programs for participation by American boys and girls, by Americans young and old. In short, what we must do is literally change the physical habits of millions of Americans, and that is far more difficult than changing their tastes, their fashions, or even their politics.
As long as the United States is the great and chief guardian of freedom, all the way in a great half circle from the Brandenburg Gate to Vietnam, as long as we fulfill our functions at a time of climax in the struggle for freedom, then I believe it is the business of the President of the United States to concern himself with the general welfare and the public interest. And if the people feel that it is not, then they should secure the services of a new President of the United States.
But just 3 months after the speech in Berlin, Kennedy's life was going to come to a shocking end.
So that speech might be the reason why, or something.
November 21st, 1963, 10:50 a.m. President Kennedy, along with his wife Jackie, depart the White House and fly to San Antonio, Texas on Air Force One. The married couple had begun their 3-day speaking and fundraising tour. Kennedy continued to promote his ideas of peace, as well as his love and admiration for the space program.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
Wow.
His passion on stage and his love for his supporters was clear to see throughout Fort Worth, Austin, and Houston, Texas. Crowds were thrilled by the Kennedys' presence. at 11 p.m. The weather had taken a turn for the worst. It had become a cold winter's night over the whole of Texas. With plans to go to Dallas in the morning to continue their tour, it looked like things needed to be changed last minute. 10:30 a.m., 22nd of November, 1963. Miraculously, during the night, the rain had unexpectedly stopped. The Kennedys left their hotel room in Fort Worth, Texas. The sun was shining. There wasn't a cloud to be seen anywhere. And it looked to be the most idyllic days, filled with color and life. 11:30 a.m. The Kennedys arrive in Dallas, Texas. They land at Love Field, and seconds after leaving Air Force One, they're greeted by hundreds of supporters and the press. 11:45 a.m. Kennedy meets up with Texas Governor John Connally and get in their open-top motorcade. Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson in the car behind, with Kennedy's Secret Service following them. 12 p.m. The motorcade travels into downtown Dallas. The streets are filled with people. An estimate of over 150,000 have gathered to see a glimpse of their political hero. The streets are decorated with banners and confetti. Dallas now resembles a painting with its vibrancy of color. 12:29 p.m. Kennedy's motorcade turns off of Main Street and onto Daley Plaza. During this moment, Governor John Connally turns to Kennedy and remarks, "Mr. President, You can't say Dallas doesn't love you. 12:30. While passing by the Texas School Book Depository, Kennedy is
So
seen.
at this place, there are no more supporters along the way. It's like the road is just busy and clear.
Waving at audiences. Suddenly, the sound of 2 gunshots pierced through the air. The first bullet misses the motorcade, injuring a supporter on the side of the road. The second shot hits President Kennedy, passing through his neck into Governor Connolly's hand and lodging itself in his leg. Injured and terrified, Kennedy slumps down onto his wife's shoulder. Jackie Kennedy goes to see where the wound is. Moments later, another shot hits Kennedy. This shot.
So there was like 3 shots. The first shot, it didn't hit him, but the second hit him and also hit the governor. And then he was not yet dead. Now the third shot now also hit him.
Hits him directly in the head.
What?
Killing him instantly.
So the person was really determined.
12:31. The motorcade speeds off from the scene and heads straight to the nearest hospital. Jackie Kennedy is seen reaching over the back of the car as she tries to somehow save her love of her life. Crowds surrounding the area scream in panic and take cover from wherever the gunman was shooting from.
I can really imagine how the whole now situation felt. Like the president was there just touring, and then a few seconds later he's killed, and the people were like just watching, didn't expect anything like that will happen.
Yeah, but they were,
the whole place could be terrified, people are confused. Like,
and for the shooter, he was a very, how accurate is he?
He was so, but he was, I think he was really determined to just kill, because the first he missed, the second now he went again, and then the third now, it got him right on his head. I think he was very, very determined to finish the job.
And who was that?
That's the question.
1 p.m. President Kennedy's motorcade arrives at the hospital. Doctors grab his body and try to desperately save him. Doctors on the scene stated that Kennedy was in a devastating condition, and it looked like there wasn't much hope in saving him. 1:30 p.m. While the whole of America and the world was waiting on the latest news of their president, CBS News anchor Walter Cronkite broke the silence and confirmed President Kennedy's death.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago.
America was devastated as the breaking news rang out.
He was coming down the street, and my 5-year-old boy and myself were by ourselves on the grass there on Palmer Street, and I asked Joe to wave to him, and Joe waved, and I waved, and the man... That's all right, sir. You were as he was waving back, the shot rang out, and he slumped down in the seat, and his wife reached up toward him, and as he was slumping down, and the second shot went off, and it just knocked him down.
It's really so painful, because like this is a person who has been fighting for you all along, fighting. Everyone is loving what he's doing, and then he's just killed in the hands of like his people.
Yeah, but
like you've just seen him, then next minute he's no more. Like that was really, really bad.
That's control. Was there any investigations?
Of course, there must be, or something.
Investigations started immediately after the shooting had taken place. Texas police raided the buildings all over Daley Plaza. Eventually, at 1:20 p.m., police found a rifle on the 6th floor window of the Texas School Book Depository. But who could have possibly killed one of the most idolized figures the world had ever seen? What American citizen could go against his country and commit such a treasonous act?
Exactly.
Could this have been an attempt by the Soviet Union to silence the most powerful leader in the world? 1:45 p.m. 15 officers raid a movie theater in Dallas. During this raid, one man is brought out. 1:50 p.m. Police arrest the man responsible for President Kennedy's death. That man was Lee Harvey Oswald.
So the man was arrested.
How would they in just 1 hour found him?
But I was just to ask, like, there were no cameras around the building or something.
At
just
that time,
to
at
capture.
that era, you know, even in our country, we didn't have electricity.
But I feel like there must be one because,
Yeah,
you know,
how
for
did
them
they
they were
find
already
others?
developed. Or how did they now? What was the situation at the moment so that they could tell like he
This
was
is the
the
guy
one?
because no
Yeah.
one something like this happens. The culprit always have his scapegoat.
Of course, they always have a plan. They will have someone to frame. They will always have like who will
A
now
sacrifice
sacrifice
God.
himself
Yeah.
for all the situation. But let's find out.
Lee Harvey Oswald was now public enemy number one. His actions had devastated citizens around the world and brought about a wave of uncertainty.
This is a sad time for all people. We have suffered a loss that cannot be weighed. For me, it is a deep personal tragedy. I know that the world shares the sorrow that Mrs. Kennedy and her family bears. I will do my best. That is all I can do. I ask for your help and God's.
Who was that taking over? Who took over after him? I think that was the guy taking over. The speech was just listened to.
But who was he, and what could have caused an American citizen to kill his own president? Oswald was born in New Orleans, Louisiana on the 18th of October, 1939. His family were proud patriots. His father, Lee Oswald, served in the Marine Corps during World War I, but unfortunately died before Lee Harvey Oswald was born. The Oswald family didn't settle anywhere during his childhood. They moved about frequently, settling in cities such as Dallas and Fort Worth in Texas, as well as the Bronx in New York. Being constantly on the move was part of Oswald's life. It's all he knew, and continued to move around later in his adult years. By just the age of 15, Oswald claimed that he'd been influenced by the Marxist ideology. While at school, he frequently read socialist literature, which helped him form his outlook on life. Oswald became obsessed by the Marxist ways and even wrote frequent letters to the American Socialist Party. His closest school friend, Edward Vobel, however, refused to believe these facts and said Oswald commonly read paperback trash, not socialist literature. Despite surrounding himself with communist manifestos and Marxist literature, Oswald joined the Marine Corps on the 24th of October, 1956, just before his 17th birthday.
Okay.
Oswald was underaged, but thanks to his brother becoming his legal guardian, he was able to join. Oswald was heavily trained as a rifleman. In December 1956, while being tested on his shooting ability, Oswald scored 212, beating the Marine Corps average, labeling him as a sharpshooter. Oswald knew how to use a rifle. So was it any surprise to find that he was behind the shooting of Kennedy on that November day in 1963? After being given an honorable discharge from the Marine Corps in September 1959, Oswald was desperate to learn Russian and move to the Soviet Union. The literature he'd read made him idolize their way of life, and he wanted to make it his own. Within a month, he had renounced his U.S. citizenship and was determined to make a life for himself within the Soviet Union. In his application to renounce his citizenship to the U.S. Embassy, Oswald stated that as a radar operator in the Marine Corps, he knew things of special interest that he could tell to the Soviet Union. Because of this statement, Oswald made the news within America and went from being an honorable military reserve discharge to an undesirable, a section given to soldiers who were seen as mentally unfit for service. Oswald had already become a threat to the West at just the age of 20 years old and was regarded as a traitor to his country. In 1961, Kennedy had officially become president, but during this period, tension was rising between the Soviet Union and the United States, most notably within Fidel Castro's Cuba. Castro was believed to be accepting aid from the Soviet Union, an act that was terrifying for Kennedy, especially with Cuba being the closest Soviet state to mainland America. In an attempt to settle things, Kennedy ordered a group of highly experienced soldiers, Brigade 2506, a group of CIA-sponsored Cuban exiles, to invade the island and take Fidel Castro out of power. The operation was called the Bay of Pigs. The mission, however, was a horrific failure for Kennedy and America, and highlighted America's threat to Fidel Castro, who encouraged his citizens to stand against American involvement in their country. Kennedy withdrew all forces from Cuba and tried to repair the damages caused by the invasion.
So that I think that makes it clear. As I've said from the beginning, the operation was a failure, and that the responsibility rests with the White House.
Oswald, while traveling through the Soviet Union, noticed America's involvement within Cuba and stated his distaste for their actions. Oswald felt like Cuba were their own country, and if they wanted to embrace the communist ways of the Soviet Union, then that was their choice to make, not America's. But despite his hatred for American politics and involvement in international current affairs, Oswald was getting tired of the lifestyle within the Soviet Union. In a statement, he said there was nothing to do and the money wasn't as good as the money he had made from the Marine Corps. Oswald applied for his citizenship back to the U.S., despite holding his strong communist views and his admiration for the Soviet Union. Around this time, he met his soon-to-be wife Marina Prosakova, a 19-year-old pharmacology student. Oswald, Marina, and their newly born infant daughter eventually moved back to the United States in 1962 and settled in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. a few miles out from where the fatal killing of Kennedy would take place a year from now. Oswald was surprised by how little media attention there was once he came back to America.
I was raising that question too, like he had already renounced the citizenship and went to the East.
Yeah.
And now he's also coming back, like a year before. I'll say maybe he was coming on a mission. If that's true, he was the one who killed the president. I'll say, like, you know, people like that always come, like, if you're sent or if you're given that kind of job, of course, it should be like something slow. It's not something to rush to. So you'll come, observe the old place, study the old place and all that before you do the thing. So I would say that, like, did he not raise any issues like, oh, why is he coming back again or something? Yeah.
March 1963. While browsing a mail order pamphlet, Oswald, under the alias A. Heidel, purchased a second-hand 6.5mm caliber Carcano rifle for $29.95. Along with this purchase, he also ordered a .38 Smith & Wesson Model 10 revolver. On the 10th of April 1963, Oswald had become aware of an anti-communist figure who was ex-commander for the 24th Division of the U.S. Army, based in West Germany. This commander was Edwin Walker. Oswald despised Walker and classed him and his organization as fascist. After the purchase of his recent rifle, Oswald traveled down to his house in Dallas and attempted to shoot him through a window from less than 100 feet away. The bullet missed Walker and shattered against the wall. Oswald made his getaway and avoided all witnesses. This attempt on Walker's life was found to be unsolvable, and Oswald had gotten away with attempting to assassinate an ex-military commander and American hero. In June 1963, America was once again entered in an extremely intense and dangerous period within the Cold War. The Soviet Union's involvement within Cuba had hit the news again, and military pictures had surfaced of nuclear bases being set up in the mainland. Kennedy issued a statement on the situation and also went on to warn the Soviet Union about their nuclear presence and quarantined the island.
Good evening, my fellow citizens. This government, as promised, has maintained the closest surveillance of the Soviet military buildup on the island of Cuba. Within the past week, unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. Only last Thursday, as evidence of this rapid offensive buildup was already in my hand, to halt this offensive buildup, a strict quarantine on all offensive military equipment under shipment to Cuba is being initiated.
Tension was at its highest it had ever been. One slight political mistake, and the world would have seen complete nuclear destruction. Kennedy, during this time, kept his cool demeanor and his promise to keep the public informed with the situation within Cuba.
The events and decisions of the next 10 months may well decide the fate of man for the next 10,000 years. There will be no avoiding these events. There will be no appeal from these decisions, and we in this hall shall be remembered either as part of the generation that turned this planet into a flaming funeral pyre, or the generation that met its vow to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war.
Eventually, on the 26th of June, 1963, the quarantine had ended, and the Soviet Union dismantled their nuclear missile bases. America still kept a close eye on Cuba, especially their leader Fidel Castro, who passionately hated the U.S. government.
I want to take this opportunity
to report on the conclusions which this government has reached on the basis of yesterday's aerial photographs, namely that the Soviet missile bases in Cuba are being dismantled, their missiles and related equipment are being crated, and the fixed installations at these sites are being destroyed. The United States intends to follow closely the completion of this work through a variety of means, including aerial surveillance, until such time as an equally satisfactory international means of verification is effective. The continuation of these measures in air and sea is in keeping with our pledge to secure their withdrawal or elimination from this hemisphere, and it is in keeping with the exchange of letters with Chairman Khrushchev of October 27th and 28th. We will continue to keep the American people informed on this vital matter.
Back in Dallas.
Let's say he really tried. Huh?
Exactly.
Yeah, he really achieved some big milestones in the world.
Oswald was disgusted by America's involvement and obsession with Cuba.
Yeah.
Once again going on to state that he felt Cuba should be their own country and labeled himself as pro-Castro. In an act to try and get the American public to support Cuba and Fidel Castro, Oswald joined the activist group Fair Play for Cuba Committee. In August 1963, Oswald ordered 500 application forms, 300 membership cards, and 1,000 leaflets with the heading, "Hand Off Cuba." His wife Marina, however, told him to sign them under the name A.J. Heidel to hide his true identity from the U.S. government. In an extremely rare piece of footage, Oswald was seen handing out these flyers to passers-by. It's the one and only piece of footage of Oswald before the day of President Kennedy's assassination a few months later. Oswald, however, was later arrested for disturbing the peace on the 9th of August, as he handed out flyers in front of an independent anti-Castro organization. Here he got into a fight with the group's leader and the Cuban exile leader Carlos Brongnier, who state that Oswald was trying to gain information from the group. Oswald was fined $10 and was sentenced to a few days in prison.
$10. That's cool.
September 26, 1963. Lee Harvey Oswald, still obsessed with the recent events that had taken place within Cuba, was determined to travel there to see the country on his way back to the Soviet Union.
Okay.
Life in America had once again become difficult for him, as he had become a target for American officials once again, with his pro-communist ideas. While traveling to Cuba, Oswald was stopped in Mexico and refused admission to the island, with the Soviet embassy believing he was a CIA agent looking to gather intelligence within the country.
Okay.
Oswald pleaded with the Soviet embassy, speaking terrible, hardly recognizable Russian. His application was refused, with the Cuban consular office stating that approving his visa would do more harm to the Cuban Revolution. According to the Warren Commission, after John F. Kennedy's assassination, Oswald's trip to Cuba was a plan to get easy access to get to the safety of the Soviet Union the day after he assassinated the president.
Oh.
October 2nd, 1963, Oswald returns to Dallas and moves into his new house with his wife Marina and his 2 daughters. Ruth Payne, Oswald's neighbor, had recently discovered that there was a job opening down in Dallas that Oswald could apply for. That job was in the Texas School Book Depository.
Okay.
Oswald applied for the job and got accepted in it the same day. But around this time, FBI agents were on his tail and were keen on speaking to the well-traveled ex-Soviet citizen. 2 weeks before the assassination of John F. Kennedy, Special Agent James P. Hosty sent FBI agents to go and speak to Oswald in his residency.
Yeah.
They visited a few times, but every time found Oswald was not in. Oswald was furious with their obsession with him and traveled down to their headquarters requesting to meet Special Agent Hosty. Hosty wasn't there, but Oswald went on, leaving a threatening message to him which read, "Let this be a warning. I will blow up the FBI and the Dallas Police Department if you don't stop bothering my wife."
Okay.
Oswald was now a target, but one the FBI had to be extremely careful with. November 21st, 1963. Oswald, in a change of events, asked his fellow co-worker and neighbor, Wesley Frazier, for a midweek lift to Irving, Texas, stating he had to collect some curtain rods for his house. Frazier agreed without question. November 22nd, 1963. Early morning. Oswald and Frazier returned to Dallas. Oswald stopped at his home before leaving for work at the Texas School Book Depository at 7:30 a.m. Before leaving home, he left behind $170 and his wedding ring with Maria, but left the house carrying a large paper bag as well as the bag supposedly containing the curtain rods, which Fraser reported as odd in the Warren report. 11:55 a.m. Texas School Book Depository. Oswald's co-worker Charles Givens stated that he witnessed Oswald at work on the 6th floor of the building, 35 minutes before Kennedy's motorcade entered Daley Plaza. 12 p.m. Janitor Eddie Piper speaks to Oswald on the 1st floor of the building after he had just made a phone call 10 minutes prior. After this talk, Oswald wasn't seen again until after the fatal shooting. 12:10 p.m. Ray Williams, another co-worker, stated he was eating lunch on the 6th floor, believing to be the only one on that floor. Williams did state that there were a lot of boxes obscuring the window that was believed to be the sniper's nest, preventing him from seeing anyone in that room. 12:30 p.m. President Kennedy's motorcade passes through Daley Plaza and past the Texas School Book Depository. Deep in the sniper's nest, Oswald fires 3 bullets. The third one hit Kennedy in the head, delivering the fatal blow.
Yeah.
Across the road, a witness of the shooting, Howard Brennan, claims he saw and heard a shot from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository, confirming where the assassin was firing from. 12:32 p.m. Oswald is confronted in the cafeteria by Patrolman Marion Baker. Oswald's superintendent, however, vouches for his whereabouts during the assassination, saying he was working on a different floor. Seconds after this confrontation, Oswald leaves the building in a hurry and gets into a cab at the bus depot. 1:15 p.m. Traveling a few blocks away from the scene of the murder, Oswald, while walking down the street towards his house, gets pulled over by veteran officer J.D. Tippett. Tippett believes Oswald fits the description of the man seen fleeing from the scene. In a quick act of panic, Oswald pulls out a pistol and fires 3 bullets into Tippett, killing him then and there.
So he killed again?
1:20 p.m. After raiding all the buildings near the scene of the assassination, officers find the recently fired rifle and 3 bullet cases lying on the floor nearby. The rifle was quickly identified as a 6.5 millimeter caliber Carcano rifle owned by A. Heidel, also known as Lee Harvey Oswald. 1:30 p.m.
So the gun was registered under his name.
Okay, yeah, that's why I want to ask something at the end, like Was he doing this for his own, like, what was he sent?
Sirens blare out all across Dallas, Texas. Hearing the sirens, Oswald ducks into a theater without paying and waits until the coast is all clear. Police were now looking for a man who not only murdered the President of the United States, but also J.D. Tippit. Both descriptions fit Oswald perfectly. 1:45 p.m. After the recent announcement of Kennedy's death by Walter Cronkite on CBS, police were determined to find the assassin. After being tipped off about a suspicious individual by locals, 15 police officers surrounded the local theater. 4 men were sent in to subdue the individual, and by 1:50 p.m., Oswald was captured and taken into custody. While in police custody, Oswald denied his involvement and continued to plead innocent to the charges of President Kennedy and J.D. Tippit's deaths.
Here comes Oswald down the hall again.
Did you buy that rifle? That's as fast as you people have been given, but I emphatically deny these charges.
You killed the president?
No, I've not been charged with that. In fact, nobody has said that to me yet. The first thing I heard about it was when the newspaper reporters in the hall asked me that question.
You have been.
Nobody said what?
Sir?
You have been.
Nobody said what? Okay, man. Okay.
3 p.m. Oswald starts being interrogated by the police. They take a paraffin test to see if he'd fired a gun recently. The test comes back positive. Oswald gets charged.
So they can take a test to see if you're fired.
And which test is that? Powder what test?
Oh,
I've heard that for the first time.
Me too.
With killing J.D. Tippit, but was not accused of murdering the president yet. Saturday, November 23rd, 1963. 1:35 a.m. After being interrogated 3 times, Oswald finally gets charged with the murder of President Kennedy by Judge David Johnson, stating Oswald voluntarily and with malice of forethought killed John F. Kennedy by shooting him with a gun. While being escorted from the station on live television, Oswald was shot dead in front of the whole world by Jack Ruby, a patriotic citizen and Texas nightclub owner.
So he was also killed.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
A patriot.
It gets more complicated now.
He's been shot. He's been shot. Lee Oswald has been shot.
Oswald was dead.
I think if it was in our country, it could be stoned to death. Because, yeah, that's how they handle thieves and such kind
But
of.
he wasn't given a chance to be with the citizen. I think he was just arrested immediately and then detained. So
When he was being moved.
oh, maybe.
But I even know in our country you can't have such a criminal like being moved by police. Police should have to run for your safety because they're stones.
At the hands of a regular American citizen. The world had been stripped of the truth behind the assassination, and all details of what fully happened laid dead with Lee Harvey Oswald. Jack Ruby was arrested for the murder of Lee Harvey Oswald and sentenced to life in prison, despite being praised by citizens for getting revenge on the man who murdered the beloved president.
You know, it could also be a strategy so that the case could be just yeah, like, of course, if you kill the person who already killed the murderer,
Yeah,
of course the case is just over.
And then the next one is the case for the one who killed her.
Yes. So
that's wise.
that would be lightweight.
John F. It's for Fitzgerald. John Fitzgerald Kennedy. John F. Kennedy. 1917 to 1916. So he died at the age of 45.
But you could see him, he was really young when he was a president.
It was on an extremely hot afternoon last June that a young, vigorous, intelligent, dedicated president stood before the nation and said in eloquent terms that the issue which we face in civil rights is not merely a political issue, it is at bottom a moral issue. He went on to say that it is as old as the scriptures and as modern as the Constitution. It is a question of whether we will treat our Negro brothers as we ourselves would like to be treated. Since that hot afternoon last June, our nation has known a dark day and a dreary night. That same president was cut down by an assassin's bullet on Elm Street in Dallas, Texas. And I think the passage of the Civil Rights Bill is a lasting tribute to the memory of the late John Fitzgerald Kennedy.
I know that it was a source of the greatest strength to him to know that there were thousands of people all over the United States who were together with him, dedicated to certain principles and to certain ideals. No matter what talent an individual possesses, no matter what energy he might have, no matter how much integrity and honesty he might have, if he is by himself and particularly a political figure, he can accomplish very little. But if he sustains...
So even there is a brother to John F. Kennedy was killed.
Yes.
As President Kennedy was, by the Democratic Party, all over the United States, dedicated to the same things that he was attempting to accomplish, you can accomplish a great deal. No one knew that really more than President John F. Kennedy.
This country, as it normally does, when it faces a crisis, it raises up, pulls itself up to meet the challenge. I don't suppose there was an American, regardless of their opinions of the late president, that didn't admire him in many respects. To me, he was a great man, and there was shock then, but as always, life must go on, and I think the new president has stepped in, and well, I don't have to say that. The recent election shows that people are pleased, at least a great majority of them, with the conduct of the affairs of this country. Of course, there'll always be an emptiness when you think of the third Friday in November last year.
On September 24th, 1964, an 888-page report was presented to the new president, Lyndon B. Johnson.
So Lyndon B. Johnson is the one who took over. I was asking that question. Okay.
The document confirmed that President Kennedy was shot twice, with the second shot being the fatal killing blow. The report went on to document Oswald's past, his obsession with communism, and his love for the Soviet state. By the end of the report, it was confirmed that Lee Harvey Oswald was the true assassin of President John F. Kennedy. This simple man found Kennedy a threat to his ideology, and after being a trained sharpshooter in the military, it was clear to see that Oswald was capable of being able to pull off this shot and kill the president as he traveled in his motorcade. Despite America being stripped of their true justice system thanks to Jack Ruby and his fatal gunshot to Oswald, witness reports, along with Oswald's history and minute-by-minute movements leading up to that day, heavily suggest that he was the one that pulled that Carcano rifle trigger on that clear, crisp, and colorful winter's day in Dallas, Texas, 1963. An event that changed the world forever.
Okay. That is the 60-year-old lie behind John F. Kennedy's death. So what's the lie here?
The 60-year-old lie. Okay, lie of lies. I don't know. But I feel like he gave us some history. We don't know if the narrative is true or wrong or false. You guys can clarify that in the comments. What do you think? Like, what is your thoughts, your perspective, maybe your research? You can give us some summary of it on the comments. We will appreciate it.
That will be so much important to tell us out there. Title itself, what's the lie? Where is the lie first? And tell us the events on the late president.
Yes, that led to the killing of the late president. And you can also give a guess, like, was that like the killer? Was it the real killer, or the real killer is still was maybe left just roaming out?
I think that for me, I feel he was just left roaming out.
Yeah, and that one was just something fixed.
You can't kill a president because for your own benefit.
Of course, I think
you need a lot of $1 million and payments to do that.
Yes, you need a lot of, like, there was someone behind it, and they just rolled out because of that second, like the killer was killed. I think also that was a narrative to me.
I also feel the same, but tell us more about it, or maybe maybe you were there, or maybe you are told a story, your first-hand story about it. Tell us on what happened, and stay tuned by subscribing. Bring your favorite too on our next episode.
Otherwise, thank you so much, guys, for your time. Thank you so much, Dan, for this. This was new to us, so educative.
It made you learn communist.
We learned a lot of things.
And anything that maybe we didn't mention, right, make a correction on the comment section.
Exactly.
We'll be so thankful for that.
Otherwise, see you on our next one. Bye-bye.